An aircraft carrier is commonly referred to as a city at sea. With between 5,000 and 6,000 people living on board, sailors spend months working, eating, relaxing, and sleeping on a single floating platform. Feeding such a massive population is a staggering challenge. Every day, thousands of meals must be served 3 times a day, resulting in an enormous amount of food being consumed. An aircraft carrier is not only a powerful combat platform, it is also a massive enterprise that requires meticulous organization. On the USS Enterprise, cooking for every sailor and crew member requires the preparation of approximately 17,300 meals each day. To keep the ship operational and its mission successful, sailors must be properly supplied not only with advanced military weapons, but also with the food and resources needed to sustain them. The provision of food while an aircraft carrier is often described as a city at sea, and for good reason. With between 5,000 and 6,000 people living on board, sailors spend months working, eating, relaxing, and sleeping on a floating steel city. Feeding this massive population is a monumental task. Every single day, thousands of meals must be prepared, making food logistics just as critical as weapon systems. An aircraft carrier is not only a combat platform, it is a huge enterprise that requires meticulous organization. On the USS Enterprise, approximately 17,300 meals are prepared every day. Supplying sailors with food is just as important as supplying them with ammunition. In fact, the success of any military operation depends heavily on keeping its crew well fed. How does the U.S. Navy resupply at sea? U.S. Navy warships are often deployed in open waters for extended periods, making resupply a challenging and sometimes dangerous operation. One method used is underway replenishment. In this process, the aircraft carrier matches the speed of a supply ship while sailing side by side. A line is fired between the two vessels, followed by heavier cables that allow massive pallets, sometimes weighing thousands of pounds, to be transferred. These pallets contain fuel, food, mail, and essential supplies. While some sailors manage the transfer, others keep watch for rough waves and potential hazards. Another method is vertical replenishment, where helicopters transport cargo using large hooks. These helicopters make repeated trips, lowering supplies directly onto the deck. Though effective, this process can take several hours to complete. Food storage on an aircraft carrier. Deep within the ship, storage areas include both dry and refrigerated spaces, stocked with items similar to those found in large supermarkets. The Navy makes an effort to match the tastes and preferences of American service members, offering familiar meals whenever possible. To maintain consistency, ships often follow a standardized meal schedule, serving similar dishes on specific days regardless of deployment location. When the carrier is near a port, supplies are restocked using contracts with major food wholesalers. However, when the ship remains at sea for long periods, fresh items gradually run out and are replaced with canned or dried alternatives. Food preparation, a massive operation. The galley aboard an aircraft carrier resembles an industrial-scale restaurant kitchen. Cooks, known as culinary specialists, work nonstop, slicing meat, operating enormous mixers, tending massive grills, and removing freshly baked food from industrial ovens. These specialists are responsible for feeding around 5,500 sailors and crew members aboard the USS Enterprise. Maintaining morale and energy is critical, especially during long deployments when sailors work extended hours with minimal rest. Although they are not on the front lines, without the culinary crew, no one on the ship would eat, and an army that isn't fed cannot fight effectively. Food plays a critical role in determining the overall success of a war. But how? The warships of the United States Navy are constantly deployed in open waters, making resupply operations both difficult and potentially dangerous. One method used is called underway replenishment. During this process, the warship must match the speed of a supply vessel while carefully maneuvering into position. A lightweight line is first fired between the two ships as they travel parallel to each other. Sailors known as line handlers then pull in a much heavier messenger line. Once the connection is secure, massive pallets, often weighing thousands of pounds, are transferred from one ship to the other. These pallets can include fuel, food, mail, and essential supplies. While some sailors manage the transfer, others stay alert for unexpected waves or potential hazards. Another resupply method is vertical replenishment. In this case, helicopters use large cargo hooks to transport supplies. The helicopters make multiple trips, lowering cargo onto the deck each time. Although effective, this procedure can take a significant amount of time to complete. How is food stored on board? Food items are stored deep within the ship on lower decks. The carrier contains both dry storage and refrigerated spaces, stocked with many of the same products found in a typical supermarket. The Navy does its best to cater to the tastes and preferences of American service members, offering familiar foods similar to what they would eat back home. To maintain consistency, ships follow a standardized meal schedule, serving the same or very similar dishes on specific days, regardless of where they are deployed. Supply officers make every effort to restock shelves at least once a week. When the ship is near a port, food is delivered using contracts with major wholesalers. However, when the carrier remains far out at sea for extended periods, fresh food items gradually run out and are replaced with canned or dried alternatives. Food preparation on board the aircraft carrier. The galley aboard an aircraft carrier looks like an industrial-scale restaurant kitchen when fully active. Meat is sliced by crew members wearing paper hats and uniforms. Grills are constantly in use, and massive mixers churn through enormous batches of food. Freshly baked items are pulled from industrial ovens as cooks move quickly through the crowded workspace. The cooks, known as culinary specialists, are responsible for feeding approximately 5,500 sailors and crew members aboard the USS Enterprise. To maintain morale and energy levels during military operations, it is essential that the crew remains well-nourished. Sailors often work long hours with few breaks, and without the culinary staff, no one aboard the carrier would have anything to eat. An army that isn't well-fed will never perform well in battle. That's why so much planning and logistics are devoted to feeding the soldiers and sailors on board. Cooking for every sailor and crew member on the USS Enterprise requires the preparation of approximately 17,300 meals every single day. This enormous task can seem like a culinary miracle, even when you consider the combined efforts of the 114 sailors assigned to this operation. According to those in charge, organization, multitasking, and teamwork are essential. Because of long deployments, the crew must function as a single unit, relying heavily on one another. There are several kitchens spread throughout the ship, all working together to meet demand. In just one day, the crew may consume 1,600 pounds of chicken, 160 gallons of milk, 30 cases of cereal, 350 pounds of lettuce. Everything is produced in massive quantities. Adaptability is critical, as cooks must constantly prepare food, manage multiple tasks, and learn new skills to take on additional responsibilities. Between $45,000 and $65,000 is spent on food every day, adding up to nearly $1.8 million per month. All galleys aboard the carrier must remain fully stocked at all times.